everyone, it's Shari Carroll here for SimonsStamp.com with a holiday card idea using some of the Simons Stamp exclusive products. I'm starting my card off with the snowflake stencil and some white cardstock, and I've already cut this down to about 3 1/4 by 5 1/2. And I'm getting out my tape to tape this down a bit so it'll hold down in place. I'm using inexpensive painter's tape, but you could use washi tape or masking tape or whatever you have handy. So I wanted to try out this embossing paste from Wendy Vecchi. It's the translucent. So I'll go ahead and scoop some out with my spatula. And I'll start spreading it around over my stencil. I'm not going to be really perfect about doing this. I just want to get some paste on there so I have some images of the snowflakes. And this translucent paste dries clear, and it almost has a glossy finish when you're done, so it's really nice to work with. You could also use it with printed papers. You could see through the papers once you've used it. So I'll finish spreading this around, and the next step I want to do before it's dry is I'm sprinkling on some Rock Candy Distress glitter, and I want to cover the entire piece. So I'm going to go ahead and shake off quite a bit, and then I have my tweezers, and I just have regular tweezers, and I'm tapping off the excess, and then I'll turn this a little bit and you can kind of see the shine of the embossing paste and the rock candy glitter. So once I am done with this, I'll set it aside to dry completely before I go to put it onto my card. Next, I'll be stamping the holiday circles, and this is the Simons Stamp exclusive set, and I'll be using the snowflake stamp, and I've also cut out my circles from the Circle on a Line die cut. So here I'm just using my Versamark ink and I'm inking up my stamp. I already have it put on the block. So now that it's well inked, I can go ahead and align it onto that circle. So I will take my time to make sure I have it perfectly aligned, and once I'm ready I can go ahead and just press that down, and you can see through the clear where it makes contact with the paper. And now I can just kind of take this off. And I will be using some silver embossing powder for this, so I'll put down a piece of paper. And just by holding this on the very tip with my thumbnail, I can go ahead and sprinkle on my silver embossing powder. To heat this up, I've grabbed my tweezers and I'm just holding it onto that little ring that goes around that image and heating it with my heat tool. I've used the card holder envelope die, and I've cut out some Tim Holtz paper stash, and that's from the collage collection, and it's two-sided paper, so I'm using the more printed side. And here I'll just use my tape runner and go ahead and close off the envelope. I'm deciding which side to flip it to, so I'll just run a little bit of my adhesive. I want to make sure I don't have any on the inside, and I'll go ahead and seal up that envelope, and again add some at the bottom. And for this card, I'm not going to be sealing the card on the inside, so I'm going to go ahead and use my tape runner and fold that flap back to the back side. I have trimmed off about ½ inch on my snowflake piece, and so now I'm going to go ahead and do some assembly. I've cut about 1.5 inch strip of that Tim Holtz paper stash paper, and here I'm just going to put it to the right edge of my top folding card, just using my tape runner, and I'll go ahead and press that down. And next I have my panel here, and I've put some foam tape on the back. So before I pull all of my adhesive backs off, I like to just pull off a couple in the center and then go ahead and align this onto my card. So this way, if I make a mistake or I don't get it aligned right, I can go ahead and pull it off before I have the whole thing stuck on there. So once I'm happy with the alignment, I can go ahead and remove the backs of the rest of the adhesive. I've used a couple of the Simons Stamp snowflake dies, and this is the Kate and the Marianne snowflake dies, and I've cut those from regular Nina white cardstock. I'll be using one on the outside of my card and one on the inside. So the Kate snowflake, which is the larger one, I'll be putting on the outside of my card, and I'm using my two-way glue pen and just adding a few dots of glue to the back side, and once I'm done I can go ahead and put this onto my card. I'm placing the snowflake right on that seam of that envelope, and so it'll help hold that flap down a little bit extra. And I'll go ahead and just press down onto the snowflake. The glue is a little wet and it takes just a bit of time to dry, so just keep pressing down until it's completely dry. Next, I'm using some of the Lawn Fawn silver twine or silver cord, and it's a really nice white cord with a silver inside, and it's just wrapped like a baker's twine. So here I've wrapped it twice around my envelope, and I'll just cut off an extra length. I'll be tying this in a bow. So once I'm ready, I can go ahead and scoot this over just a little bit, and I'll just be doing a regular like tie my shoes type of bow. So I'll go ahead and tighten that up and do a loop around, and then tie that off. And then I like to really fluff up my bows once I'm done, so I do take a little bit of time to readjust the strings and the loops. So I've added a few foam squares to the back of my silver embossed snowflake, and I've doubled up on it where it sits between the string, and I'll go ahead and take the backing off and then go ahead and place that right next to that bow, but yet straddling the strings that are going around the envelope. Next, I'm using some Kelly Perky sequins, and I have the white and the silver, and it's really easy to put these down. You just put a little dot of glossy accents and then just press your sequins in place. If you haven't tried the Wink of Stella pens yet, the glitter pens, you may want to try to check them out. They are really, really cool and easy to use. So here I'm just using the clear Wink of Stella, and I'm coloring in the snowflake. And it's got a nice brush tip, but I can get into these really tiny areas, and it leaves just a really nice hint of glitter on your pieces. I wanted to add my greeting to the inside, so I have stamped the Merry Christmas from the Circles for the Holidays, and I've used wet cement ink. I'm finishing up putting my glue on my Marianne snowflake, and I'll go ahead and flip this over and press this down in place. And to finish things off, I'll add a strip of paper that matches the outside of my card. I hope you've enjoyed my tutorial on my sparkly gift card. And as always, thanks for watching. Have a good day.